Internet. Today I want to talk to you about my relationship with an Aquarius as a Virgo, and I can give you way more detail about that, but I'm just going to go through a couple quick things. He was born on February 16th, and I was born on August 31st, if that helps with you and possibly your relationship. So let's get into it. So I was hoping to give a little insight on that. I feel like a lot of times I read about things that they state what to expect and kind of like very vague on like the specifics, but I think it might be helpful if I talk about my experience. There's two things I want to talk about with that. So the main things that I really love about our relationship is that even from the get-go, I kind of like thought he was a little bit cocky, to be honest, and I tend to not like that because I want somebody who seems more grounded and more honest about who they are. But I don't really think that's how he is truly. It's just at first he's very confident who he is, and it's almost crazy amount that I was like, nope, I don't want any of that. So the thing that really grabbed me though and made me really start to like him and then eventually love him was that we had really in-depth conversation that went beyond surface level things. And since it's known that Aquarius is a little bit eccentric and a little bit on the opposite side of things, they don't want to do things the way everyone else says. It has really opened my eyes to a whole arena of things that I didn't think I'd ever be interested in. So we've had really great conversations. The other thing about it is that we have really good chemistry, not just in the fact that we do agree on some things and have some things in similar, but mostly because it's intriguing to be with somebody that's so much different, and I know he does, and I value the differences in our personalities. So it's really great to experience something that you haven't and seeing new insights on things. And I mean, he's definitely attractive, but I was more attracted to his mind and the way he talked and the way that he interacted with other people, especially. I actually enjoy watching him interact with other people more than I do, I think, seeing him look quiet. So it's new for me. I usually like to spend alone time with my companion, but he definitely makes it where I like to be out and about with him. So we definitely have very witty, intellectual, combative sort of conversation, and a lot of times it's really funny, and that's usually the good side of it, is when we are having a really good time expressing ourselves, laughing. He has a very funny way of looking at things, and he's almost just as critical as I am, but not in the same way. Like, he almost is critical of why things are the way they are, like why do we do these things, why do we talk about these things or watch these things, and I'm more critical about when someone's wrong or right, or when someone's doing something in a defeatist manner, probably. So he makes me laugh for sure, but beyond that, he's definitely always conscious of how he's being presented. So that might be one of the bad parts about it, is that I don't really need it to be the most highbrow, funny entertainment content, whatever, for me to have a good time. But his type of humor is definitely not going to be beneath him in any way. Now that just might be him, but yet I don't feel like it is just a him quality. I do feel like Aquariuses are eccentric, but also very invested in their person, and they wouldn't want to devalue themselves for any reason. So not even in a funny way. And it's usually the things that are pushing us to challenge ourselves that are the funniest thing, in my opinion. So that could be a good thing or a bad thing between us. Like, sometimes he finds things a little bit too gritty, because I am not afraid to say things that are outrageous or hurtful sometimes, which is definitely a Virgo quality. We all know if you're a Virgo, you're most likely critical or going to say things that people necessarily don't want to hear, and I'll get into that more. The last really good thing about us is that he is more air sign, right? He's thinking about things beyond like basic needs, like earthy needs, I guess you could say. He's thinking on terms that are definitely beyond me, probably because I tend to stay with what I know and what is safe, like how I can challenge myself in the sense that how can I be better, or learning things, I guess, in that we know can be true. And he likes to learn about things that we are not sure is true or not, or sure that if there is life after death. I mean, that's kind of things he likes to think about. Now, like again, that could be a him quality, or that could be an Aquarius quality, because you know, Aquarius are supposed to be eccentric, and he's definitely on the eccentric side for sure. And that's one thing I love about him. Even though I would say he doesn't really love the fact that I'm earthy as much as I love the fact that he is an air sign. So that brings me into the next portion of this video, is some issues with our relationship. Like for one, even from the very start, we were a very combative, competitive type of relationship where he says something and I might not necessarily agree with it, and of course, like my critical mind, it doesn't faze me to talk about things or talk through things. He doesn't necessarily want to feel like he's being criticized or judged, so we definitely have to be, as Virgos, mindful of that, because to me it's like, if I wasn't fully engaged in your conversation, then I wouldn't be asking questions, I wouldn't be challenging you. To me, to ask questions, to challenge you, is to be fully immersed in what you're saying. But he doesn't really feel the same way about it, and so sometimes it can lead to tension, even though I feel like what I'm saying is not malicious. But that's one of the problems with Virgos and most signs anyway, is that we're sometimes just being helpful, or we're just being ourselves and just speaking openly, and that's the one thing I will say is the next point, is that is something Aquarius actually despises more than anything else. They don't like to be challenged or criticized or feel judged, probably because they are so eccentric, and they just want to feel like they're being heard and understood, and Virgos are obviously not the type to care so much about that, especially if it means being better or being just more self-aware. I will definitely point it out if I feel like I need to, and I don't really feel like Aquarius values that or really wants that very much in their life. So that's probably the hardest, most challenging aspect of our relationship, is that I want to be open and opinionated about him as a person, and he would rather just express himself and be accepted as who he is. And obviously there's not, I don't think, a bad side to either one of those things. It's just more of a clashing of personalities. So I think it's one of those things that you either, both sides has to be mindful of, or in my case, I have definitely tried to be more careful about what I say, not because I'm trying to limit myself. I guess I do care about this person, so I can probably find other outlets, like, I don't know, like talking on videos to get my point across. I don't necessarily need to say it. I have to think sometimes before I say things, which is also hard for me, but I guess it's a growing thing, because I do want this relationship to work out, because there's a lot of other good things about it. And most signs, like I said, aren't really happy about being criticized, so it's not like I'm ever going to escape that just because I escaped this situation with him. Another issue that we have is that I would definitely say we're both sensitive, and especially, like I said earlier, he's sensitive about being judged, but I'm sensitive about feeling like people think of me negatively because I am critical. I don't feel like you have to be judgmental to be critical. I feel like those things are separate, because I'm just analyzing it, but I'm not putting any emotional attachment towards what I think about something. And I think he feels like it is, because it's judging something, but I'm not judging it in a harsh or malicious way. I'm judging it, I guess, in a creative, positive, balanced way. So we both are sensitive about who we are, and so then when we bring up our issues, it can lead to even more problems, because it's hard to tell one person to be different. It's almost like, to make this relationship work, we've had to change how we interact with people. Like for him, he has to be more patient. I guess to be a lot more patient with me and how he feels about things, and keep in mind that I'm not trying to hurt his feelings or judge him or make him lesser than. And for me, I've had to think, okay, is this worth saying? Is this really going to benefit him? And now that I've known him for a while, I feel like I kind of know what will trigger him and not, so sometimes I will avoid it unless I feel like I really need to bring it up or address it. So that's how we've kind of worked through that. I think it's definitely a very fulfilled relationship. I've been in relationships with other signs, which I have been thinking about making videos about that too, because I think it might be helpful. I've been in a relationship with Aries, with a couple Libras, a Sagittarius, and a Pisces. So I could definitely go into detail on how those relationships were a lot different from this one, and I would have to say that the traditional signs that Virgos are supposed to be good with, like Capricorn and Taurus, I've actually never dated, so this is kind of a fun thing. If you're another Virgo female who's got similar problems with Aquarius, you know, you're not alone. I think that we all have to find a way to compromise. Probably Aquarius, I feel like I've had to compromise more how I act normally than any other relationship, but I also feel a lot more comfortable with the relationship than I ever have before. Like Aquarius has passion, but it's not going to go into a volatile state unless you provoke it. Like Pisces, definitely very sensitive sign and passionate. They would not hesitate to. I really love being with this person, and I know that he has like an attraction towards Virgos for unknown reasons, and so it's not even like we really sat down and thought, this is who I want to be with because of this character. We just have a natural connection. We're drawn to each other, even though he might drive me crazy and I might drive him crazy. It doesn't phase that sort of primal click that goes on, that chemistry. So not to make this video too much longer, I wanted to make a short video, but I have no way of doing that. I will say goodbye, and if I get to it, I might go through the other sign where David and let you know what issues I saw with them. So, alright, thank you. Bye.